The world's greatest going second Dominus pile, we get to see some Umbral horror action, and yes, the great Destiny heroes. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Isles content. You know, the minute I saw this deck, the first thing I said to myself was, I want to play this garbage. You know, you can let your opponent extend however much they want. You've got Dominus cards to clean up problematic things. You have Mind Mirror Force to attempt to break through their field. You know, just let your opponent build up as much as they can and then just kind of clean up those problems. It's also the first real deck that I feel like we can have where, you know, you're going to get shut off of a lot of potentially, effects here. You do have to kind of be careful with the downsides to the Dominus cards, but we are a going second deck, which means we can kind of play a little bit more ignorantly. You know, if we think the opponent's going to have some major key broken play line that they're going to have, well, then we can actually kind of counter adjust and do our thing. We've also got Ultimate Sky in here, which my problem with Ultimate Sky in here is I'm worried about how this is going to counteract. You know, you're actively not really playing a lot of important cards to try to bust through things. You know, the most interactive and most broken card you have is the world's greatest thief itself. But if you're not really seeing this, you know, you're going to have to rely on things like Dominus cards to try to close out the game. And then, you know, you're going to have to rely on things like Emissaries of the Darkness to be big boss monsters for you to generate onto the field that you can actually hold and be able to use. That's my only problem with playing a deck like this, is you have to be extremely careful with the pieces you've got set up, because you have to still end the game. You know, you have to be able to try to win. And if you're not really hitting those highlights or those conditions to be able to do that, then you can't really win the game. So that's something, in my opinion, to think about. I've been trying out this deck tonight for the English version, and we'll have to post some progress on that just a little bit later on. Next up here, we have the Umbral horror pile. Now, I will say, in terms of the Umbral horror stuff, this deck is gimmicky. All right, your goal is to be able to get 7 Baryons established on the field, and then you have to kind of rely on the floodgate condition of this to kind of inconvenience the opponent, because it does limit the amount of times it can be special summoned from the extra deck for non-number monsters to, you know, twice per turn. So the problem is your opponent can honestly pivot into, like, if you deploy this and they're like, all right, cool, we're going to limit you on your floodgate, or on, you know, with this floodgate card. The problem becomes, I can just pivot in like an SP and I can just remove this. Like, it is cool that we have Thousand Umbral Horror, which can actually deploy 7 Baryons during the opponent's turn. That is absolutely really, really cool, and I like that. But the problem is with current extra deck tools, this is a minor hiccup inconvenience that you're just like, oh, okay, thank you for your, you know, consideration in this matter. We also do see access into the limited Baryons Force. This gives you a rank 4 upgrade into, you know, a C number that is 1 rank higher. Now, obviously, you know, jumping from some of these numbers, and obviously Masquerade into, you know, Umbral Horror Masquerade Victory is pretty good. But also, you know, stepping into the CXYZ Chaos Baryon, not only to get bigger, to detach things, to suck them up from the top of your opponent's deck, to inconvenience them by finding their combo pieces, by also not allowing them to fundamentally, you know, engage with the deck, is also very, very good. This card does some amazing things. But outside of that, I mean, seeing the Nightmare Throne is a cute tech choice in the deck. I mean, you're already supporting 0/0 Fiends as it is. So, you know, Umbral Horror just kind of gets to get some more love. So, nice. I like this. This is nice. Next up is Destiny Heroes. Now, Destiny Heroes. This deck, you know, it's funny because you no longer need your normal summon. We actually just get to slot in the world's greatest thief, and now we can just go ahead and kind of smash on through things that the opponent's trying to do. The world's greatest thief has turned into probably one of the most toxic cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now, because this card's job is just to ignorantly break through fields and just not really care what the opponent's doing. And you know what Destiny Heroes want to do? This card also gives you the ability to deploy this thing and get yourself a protection, and you can actually bump down everything your opponent controls to face down defense position. Did I also mention to you the Destiny heroes have some of the biggest attack points in the world? Because Dreadnought Master just goes, oh, hey, I'm getting the combined total attack of all of the Destiny hero monsters on the field and, in the graveyard. It's really, really big. I've learned that the hard way. You're watching this thing running around with 5 digits on the field. You kind of got to question some of your sanity when it comes to this. Now, we do get to play a lot of the good metagame cards now. TFAF provides us with some stupid control ability. World's Greatest Thief now breaks the field, which is absolutely great. Gordian Slicers control more things. We have the Spatial Trunade, and you do see Dark Angel has been kicking around in most of these Destiny Hero side decks. The reason why you're choosing to push Dark Angel into the side deck is simply because it's not exactly good enough to really warrant in the main deck right now. And I agree with that. Also, I do like the fact that Sabatil is just absolutely broken in this card. So Fusion Destiny has fusion in the name. So good. Next up here, another deck that is actually choosing to be able to play the World's Greatest Thief. But the thing that you're starting to notice here, right, is these lists, they're not core dependent on their normal summon. Also, the really funny thing is when you deploy the World's Greatest Thief, you can tributing monsters from your hand and or your opponent's field. These dead mulch armies that you might run into? What if there's a scenario where it's like, all right, hey, I have to go first, Well, if we see these dead mulch armies, we can just munch them off to feed the World's Greatest Thief. Congratulations, Konami fixed one of the weird problems that we had with things like the mulch armies, It was their goal to be able to make this work out, and it's good. Also, Witchcrafter does not need its normal summon. This deck has enough gas to kind of be able to make its combo lines and be able to do play lines that maybe this deck shouldn't be allowed to do, which is kind of crazy. I also do like the fact we have the triple Lacrima of Light maximized in here. We are also playing the 2 Witchcrafter Celebration, and of course, we have the triple Walpurgis. Walpurgis is, and I say this every time I look at this deck, but truth be told, this card is just by far one of the best cards you could have ever given to Witchcrafter. You've given this deck the ability just to basically be able to set up and turbo through all of its lines and be able to do things. You still also see down here, Cosmo Queen of Prayer, being able to toggle into the Secret Village post side decking. This is still an extremely broken thing that this deck gets access to, which is really, really crazy. I also do see here that we have, your extra deck is still Borreload Savage, you have Artemis access. We get only 1 Pupillus in this, which I think is fine. You're not really trying to go too crazy with this deck, but you're seeing this going second technology, right? You're starting to understand decks that don't need their normal summon are starting to push into some crazier directions. Next up here, we have Tri-Brigade Tunes. This is a build that has been kind of popping up a little bit more on the back end of things, just because, Tri-Brigade cards interact with this very well, because this is a beast, he's a fiend. We don't really care too much about him, but the point here is these Tri-Brigade cards get some reverse workability into the deck. Not exactly something that I think Pegasus had imagined would be working with this, but I like the idea that this is what we're getting to work with. Once again, though, this deck does need its normal summon. The Funny Dark Bunny is the most important card into the Toon strategy. You are going to be seeing so many of these lists trying to not... I wish they could play the World's Greatest Thief, but we just can't support it, all right? We need this card. Toons, I'll trade off World's Greatest Thief all day long to be able to make the Funny Dark Bunny, just so my deck can play. Also, hey look, Gordian Slicers. We have access into the Spatial Trunades to do bounce ability things. And then, of course, we have Double Dragon Lords. Basically, all of the standard good stuff that comes with the Tri-Brigade deck is effectively built into this list for you to be able to do your thing with, which is kind of nice. But once again, this deck just showcases the absolute craziness that, these formats are kind of packing, but tech choices galore. And, hey, going second's looking better, right? Leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace. patrons. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.